Okay. I don't think I have much like significant idea that can contribute. No, I
Yeah,
think
just
it's
want.
like I think it's like if we want to change education, right? Um, we need to have another way to assess. We need to have another metric system to assess progress, because now the problem with the incentive and direction of education is wrong, because we only have one metric system, which is the grade. But if we are able to assess, which I think is like Khan Academy, where you're able to record your progress as you work in a quiz, watch the video, like that's more minute kind of like assessment. Like you can have like a portfolio of your skills, something like that. So the thing is, I mean, what I imagine is like um to develop a skill, you could go through some like a more like tiny step of like exercise or assessment, which constantly, you could build that progress on your profile, something like that. Like, yeah, you could have like, I don't know, let's say drawing or something like that. Like you draw you know, a drawing, and then your teacher can like, assess you and give you score, and then sort of like, I don't know, I was thinking like you could like internalize it with
Wait. You are mentioning score again, but this time you said at least it is something tangible, like let's say judge your drawing.
yeah.
Is it?
I mean, I was
Did
thinking like, yeah, I mean, I know how, I mean, this could be probably a bit far-fetched,
No, no,
because
actually something I never quite understand is why can't we make, like for example, physics? Okay, uh uh the examination, forget about all
mm,
this nonsense, paper 1, 2, 3. Okay,
mm,
I give you 6 hours or maybe even more than that, like 12 hours, I don't mind. I give you a bunch of raw materials, you
yeah,
assemble a DC motor for me. That's all.
mm.
Or
Yeah, so
alternatively,
so I think we want to allow to have this kind of like variation, like different kind of activity that people who have different interests could participate. Like you say, reassemble DC motor, or maybe explain it. I And we want to be able to record that, and maybe put it into the database of the student or something like that. That, hard to say, it is not really just like one things that define the student. It has, I mean, the student could define themselves based on the activity they participate. I mean,
or you okay, do you mean that other than DC motor, okay, do you mean that you don't assign a single topic of DC motor? You just do something broad range of projects, then you
yeah,
judge
I
based on
mean, yeah. That can probably only be realized if we can have like a system where system, I mean, the student could register, or maybe the school is able to register the activity that the student participate. I mean, okay, so I think the initial goal is to create a school system that could grow student based on their interests. I think that's the ultimate goal, where not everyone student has to like forced to to take
Oh,
up maths or
okay,
something like
okay.
that.
My earlier point is a little bit tangential on that, because my point is
Mm,
that physics, you don't make it a paper exam about electromagnetic equation, this kind of thing. You make it hands-on. Okay, but my point is still on the fact that okay, you must learn physics. Okay,
yeah.
but regarding your point, right? Actually, there is a reason why 100 years ago, at the dawn of industrial revolution, why did the four fathers, why did they make education system so streamlined?
Mm,
Like, why don't you just let people do whatever they want and you judge based on the merits of the outcome? The reason
yeah.
is when you streamline things, it's very efficient to provide workforce for the economy. And when I say this is because when you have one size fits all yardstick measure to measure young people, then the employers in the market, they could very quickly sort out who is a top, who is a second, who is a third. Then they could quickly, using only maybe 2 hours of interview, then they could actually select people. This
I
is
see.
a beginning rationale of why there's a streamlined system.
I see. And also, like, it's easier to provide courses as well because you only have like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very defined course.
So if we give too much of latitude to students, the end result is, I believe there are schools who are trying to implement the notion that you don't have scores, you only have pass and fail. It's a bit like our driving test, you know. You don't have a top drivers, you just pass and fail. But if you run this at a slightly larger scale, what will happen is the employers who had a hard time to sort
Select.
people out.
Yeah.
This is why so far the system has been very resistant towards changes. Is because all the big employers, they don't like a non-systematic education system. It will slow them down from recruiting people.
Right.
So they are gonna continue pressuring the government, lobbying, and pressuring the ministry. Yeah, that's a reason. Because they want a fast process.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. But I also think like the ineffectiveness of at least the school. I don't know how does it compare
Yeah,
to
you're right. Because
KL as well.
streamlining, we have a very micro effectiveness at the cost of macro ineffectiveness. Like people are being forced into learning things that just memorizing this kind of thing. They don't really learn anything. In the long run, their entire life is ruined. Like it's pointless. Yeah. But so far, I see that people just cope with this system. You don't like to become a doctor. You just force yourself every day, drag your body to hospital, do the same thing. This is how people cope with it. Then maybe you play games at night. After work, to relieve yourself.
I think sometimes it's not too bad. Yeah.
But wait, because this time I was talking about physics, right? Why don't we just make a test assembling motor, DC motor, for example, or repair a fan to show that you actually understand the physics principle? That is on the grounds that physics must still be taught. You must still learn physics. I don't give you choice I don't give you choices to choose. But my goal is just make it more and less theoretical.
Hands-on.
Like for example, chemistry. Of course, people keep worried. Youngsters, they mess up with test tube, they break beakers, all those kind of things, they explode chemicals. But really, you just give them an assessment of how to mix chemical together. So this is one angle that I thought about of trying to improve education a bit.
Yeah, I think definitely can hands-on. Like, I think there's no contradiction, I guess, like between
no,
the theory
I think
and
people are very resistant towards doing this because first of all, you need a lot of huge budget, you need adult supervision, this kind of thing. That's why at the end, paper is very simple. You just printed a lot of papers, you examine them on theories.
But I also feel that it's because teachers did not understand enough. Like maybe they were not able to connect things. Like, I guess if we are, we understood enough, right? We can actually find ways to connect it, like with some physical activity.
This is another topic about, because there's one theory that only practitioners should teach. So for example, you find a practitioner that has been practicing for industry for a very long time. Maybe he or she is now 60 years old, very old. Maybe he couldn't run the very hectic practitioner life. Then now they come and teach. So because people who practice a lot, they know inside out of what is it. Like for example, let's say a physicist who has seen a particle accelerator in Europe, I believe he will be able to teach so much better than all those our current physics teacher.
Yeah, I think that problem can be fixed once we have like teaching force that who are knowledgeable But I
No,
just
but
think
but
it's
but
very
but
hard.
the current reality is what you look at all the high school teachers or even STPM, Form 6, or
Yeah,
even university. Their background is that they have this Bachelor of Education. It's a very weird course. In right, I look at this Faculty of Education. The entire 4 years, right, they learn about how to educate. They don't learn much about domain knowledge.
they
It's
should
just,
learn about physics. If they teach physics, they should learn physics more. Of course,
no,
learning
most,
model. I mean, learning how to learn is important, but they should be good at physics if they teach physics.
no, this is currently not what people believe because people believe that teachers should be expert in teaching, not so much of a domain knowledge. That's why they create this whole thing about markup perguruan. Then among 2 years, they have a lot of nonsense subjects. I look at the subjects, you have what classroom management, this kind of thing, like
Yeah.
understanding the psychology part of a student, this kind of thing. So all their entire degree, they learn about this. Then they're gonna descend on every single school in the society that because they are expert in teaching, they claim. After graduation, they're gonna be so good in teaching. Teaching itself is an art, it's a specific discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, stuff.
No, but just like you also mentioned something very interesting. You said that okay, this entire thing is so intertwined with the government, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that is actually a very big issue. Uh, I always think that you don't try to solve unsolvable problem. You circumvent the entire thing. You go from the back door. So either way is you leave this place. You go to a country whereby the education is very largely privatized, not so much nationalized. This solution one. Solution two is you actually give up on this education problem, which is actually not a joke because if you look at the
Mm.
past 50 years or 30 years of economy in the world, which industry grew the most? Is computers. Why? Because this industry has the least intervention from government. And meanwhile, education, healthcare, right, all these industries are stagnant because you have endless red tapes, bureaucracy from government. You do one thing, you need to submit a proposal, 500-page proposal, you need to wait for the approval from all these.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
computers, it was very different. You write a game in your apartment, you don't have to submit approval. That's why the industry grew so quickly. Yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly.
It is a very sad economic truth. It's not only in Malaysia, even in USA, Silicon Valley, they always discuss like, okay, we can innovate nuclear, we can innovate healthcare, we can innovate education because there are just so much of government involvement. Government is this monopoly, very slow mover, can't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. There's. I guess the attitude is like, if it doesn't, I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
No, it is broken. The problem is we just
It
I
doesn't
feel
break
that
enough.
I feel that most of the time, right, we will only realize something is broken when there's alternative. One of my very scary hypotheses is if you could go back in time 500 years ago and interview all the slaves, let's say the black people,
Yeah.
I suspect that none of them would actually want to end slavery because they did not experience the moment that they were free. So likewise, until we have experienced largely a superior model that's so much better than current, we won't feel that current is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, it's very, very broken. Just that people don't see any
But
alternative.
I also think
Uh,
probably not also like, they feel the pain, but just like that they don't like, they just think that's probably the fact of life, but they do feel anger, I guess, and things like that. I don't know,
who are
like,
they? Who are they?
I mean, let's say student, right? I mean, like, I got a student whose school, have, these rules where they have to all cut their hair bald, and then the girls have to cut their hair short as well. Like, that is a school rules, that's norms, at least from their school. They do feel that dissatisfaction anyway. Just that they could not really, like, change it, like, or revolt against this. I guess that I mean, I guess like humans are not that like super dumb, they don't just accept everything. If there's pain, they definitely feel frustrated, but they probably just like have no choice. So if there's any like things that could trigger it, they will find opportunity to fight as well. Another example is the recent like Iranian like women, like they all in their life they have to wear hijabs, and they have like super strict rule on keeping them to wear the hijabs, and they don't like it actually, like they don't like their freedom being brought up by their society or government. Like they the death of the Iranian woman really like triggers the nationwide like protests against it. Like that really shows that people are not really happy in accepting it. They just couldn't like fight against it, like until this moment where it is sufficient to trigger the repercussion.
Yeah. Like most of the time, definitely until something super horrible happens, no one will do anything.
So
Yeah.
so the same thing is like maybe the education is also on this like this time. What is that timer bomb? like it's just wait. It's just we are just waiting the moment that it just get exploded.
I don't know whether you because months ago I talked about education bubble, right? This thing is a bit like I always feel like I'm a conspiracy theorist because nobody really shares the same view as me. We Zoom is ending in 1 minute.
Okay.